I thought it'd be interesting to just talk about how the mind is so unbelievably powerful. Um, may sound obvious at first, or maybe you haven't really thought about it, but it really dictates everything that you experience in your life. It can make you well, it can make you sick, it can provide opportunities for you, it can take away all your opportunities. The chemical reactions that happen in your mind produce not only how you think, but it actually produces what you'll see. Um, and imagine that if you thought one thing or a second thing, it would allow you to see something or not see something, how powerful that would be. Well, your mind does that. It actually does that. There's a little part of our brain that filters all the information that's coming at us. It's called the reticular activating system, or the RAS. You may have heard of this before, but to make it really simple, it filters all irrelevant information out. If you think about it, there's tons of data coming at you all the time. Sights, sounds, smells, touch, temperature, like constant light, darkness, just the orchestra of senses and information that's coming at you 24/7 is so overwhelming. You can only process a couple pieces of information at a time. Um, you need most of it filtered out. And your brain actually does that for you. Or you would just be a mess. You'd go crazy. You would not be able to focus on anything. Your senses would be way overloaded. So your RAS, that piece of the brain that's in your brainstem, it filters almost everything out except for what's relevant to you right that second. So how does that affect what you see? Well, if you want to see certain things and you focus on certain things, your RAS is programmed to show you more of that. If that doesn't make sense, think of it this way. I like Einstein's quote of, you can either live in a hostile universe or a friendly universe, you decide. Well, that is true, but it's not so obvious before you know how your brain works. All the good things in the world and all the bad things in the world, they're all out there. There's almost infinite good, almost infinite bad. Everywhere you look, it's all out there. The people that are happy and think it's a good world just tend to focus on it more. And the same for with the bad. What you focus on becomes what's relevant to you. And what's relevant to you, we evolved for your RAS, that part of your brain, to kind of like highlight those things to you. Now, not literally. You're not walking down the street and certain things are highlighted with a highlighter, but your brain makes them appear more. You become better at seeing them. So an easy example is, let's say you have a family member and they're talking about getting a new pet. They want a new dog. They're going to get a pug, okay? Very distinct animal, little cute squish face. And so you're talking to your family member about a pug, and they say, oh, a pug this, a pug that. They give you facts about pugs. They show you pictures of pugs. Maybe they already have one that they're going to buy. And because you've been primed to think about pugs, that's become relevant to you. Now, that's a silly example, but it's true. And if you've ever noticed this, now when you're driving home from your relative's house, you might see somebody walking a pug. Now, because you're primed for it, you're going to notice it. And because it's become relevant to you and your reticular activating system looks for things that are relevant for you, you're going to see that pug. Where normally, if you would have not had that conversation with your sibling about pugs, you'd have driven by and in your peripheral, you'd have saw a person with dog, person with dog, person with dog. It just would not have stood out. But you're primed for it. You saw it. And now that you saw it, you're primed for it even more. And you get home, and then TV's on, and you're eating dinner, and there's a commercial, and there's a person with a pug. And you're like, oh shit, I'm starting to see pugs everywhere. This is, again, kind of a silly example, but this is how your RAS worked. What you focused on when we were cavemen evolving is what was relevant to you. If you're looking for blueberries in a bush, if you're looking for footprints, if you wanted to hear certain noises to avoid a predator, we hyper-focused on what was relevant to us, and that helped us survive. And our brain still works that way today. So it's very important for you to know that. How does that affect us now? We live in such a weird, abstract world. We're not hunting out in the forest, but we can still focus on ideas and concepts. And to make a long story short, if you tend to focus more on the negative, or it's not your fault per se, but let's say that from a long chain of events up in today, you just happen to be a little pessimistic, your brain is primed to look for that. So again, when you look out into the world, there's a good outcome, there's a neutral outcome, and there's a bad outcome. But it is relevant to you to look for the more pessimistic thing. So boom, even though all the options are there, the pessimistic one is going to be slightly highlighted, and that's what you're going to see, and it's going to reinforce that system. If you're positive, same thing. You're just going to kind of see the good in the world, the good in people. And a little bit of counter evidence won't sway you out of that deeply defined path of good or bad that you already see a lot of. Now, you can reprogram this. This is the cool thing. But if you're a pessimistic person, can you turn into an optimistic person overnight? Absolutely not. First of all, you have to be aware you're a pessimistic person. And this takes a lot of time, a lot of introspection, inspecting yourself, a lot of mindfulness, meditation, mindfulness practice to slow down and actually catch these negative and pessimistic thoughts that are constantly coming into your brain. You need to be aware first and foremost. But let's say, fast forward, that you are very aware of this. You are going to have to plant seeds in your mental garden. You're going to have to try and look for the positive things in the world. You're going to have to force yourself to look for it. You're going to have to fake it till you make it. And you can slowly reprogram your reticular activating system. I know this because I was a very dark, pessimistic, cynical, negative person. And I still have a lot of room for growth, but I have cultivated and worked very, very, very hard at trying to see the good in people, the good in events, to actually question the bad I see, to be very mindful with the thoughts that come in my mind, auditing my mind all the time, so that I can try to focus my attention and make positive things more relevant to me and reprogram that little piece of my brainstem that will give me more of what I look for. So that's one of many cool things about how powerful our brain is, and I thought I would just mention that one today. Thank you very much.